back here at Mixtapes and Mistakes, end of the year, doing another edition of the cover song series. I'm going to talk about a video today that I'm talking about in a bunch of my other videos. We're talking today about Hazy Shade of Winter by the Bangles. So, this song, originally done by Simon and Garfunkel, is steeped in American history. It was released on, and it's going to be, there's a reason why I'm bringing it up, I keep saying March, but that's not true. This is another mistake. So it was released on April 3rd, 1968. 24 hours after this album was released, civil rights activist Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, which is a whole other story that I don't know you covered on this channel. But the weight of that overshadowed the release of the album and pretty much took over, rightfully so, a lot of things going on in American politics and American culture. Most people are going to know this album, Bookends, which is the album that this is released on, by the title track, or not the title track, but more the most famous song on it, which is Mrs. Robinson. Coo coo choo, Mrs. Robinson. Heaven holds a place for those who pray. And despite my bad rendition of it, it's a great song, and it won Simon and Garfunkel several positive reviews from critics. I got them Bookends won 2 Grammy Awards in 1969. It won awards for Best Pop Contemporary Performance by a Duo or Group and Record of the Year. Prior to that win, no rock and roll song had ever won Record of the Year at the Grammys. Now, the song is about a poet who's really going through a midlife crisis. And really anybody, and it's why I included it on this year's Christmas playlist, the mixtape. It was endemic of how this year's really changed me and changed my point of view on most things in the world. But B, and I'm going to kind of transition towards what the Bangles do with it. It is a song that has always kind of exemplified the end of the year. It's nostalgia and recrimination and second guessing yourself. And Paul Simon's use of metaphor about the seasons changing and what that means about different times in your life is not only interesting, but poignant in a lot of ways. And so it fit the season, and it fit really what was going on with me, which is why I included it on the mixtape. But I realized in that last video that I had never really covered this song. I never talked about it as its own standalone thing. So one of the other reasons I included it on the Christmas mixtape is that it has that vibe to it. I don't know what the instrument is called. I have to look it up. It's this little shake thing that does the ring ring. It's almost like it just reminds me of like sleigh bells. It sounds like, oh, that fits. But the way it was arranged, it kind of, with a harder edge, I've always thought that song was it just hits. And so I included it. The reason I believe that it is, well, there's a couple metrics that I've done all the metrics about what I used to rate cover songs on the cover song reset video. But one of the things I want to talk about is that, so chart wise, it's an interesting situation. The original song did not do so well for Simon and Garfunkel. It peaked at what was it? Let me go back and look real quick. We're gonna do some real time, which is something I almost never do on here, but I'm doing it today because I want to Yeah, it charted. That's what I thought. So it charted number 30 in the UK in 1966 when Bookends was released, and 13 in the United States. When the Bangles redid it, it charted at number 2. It's included in a lot of interesting places in American television and movies. It's on Stranger Things in the episode "The Weirdo on Maple Street." Some of this is coming from Song Facts, by the way. Shout out to Song Facts. Black Friday on the episode Scream Queens. It's also it gets referenced on a news radio episode entitled "The Cane," where Mr. James tries to get Paul Simon to endorse a new line of snow tires, and he hopes to call it a hazy shade of white walls. And what that's talking about is the fact that, so at one point Susanna, and it's on the Bangles website, Susanna Hoffs talks about meeting Simon and Garfunkel after seeing him in concert, and this is shortly after their version goes to number 2. And she's super uncomfortable talking to him about it, because she, and this is what she says, quote, "So we love Simon and Garfunkel, and naturally we also love Paul as a solo artist, and we're really, really happy to see him perform and then go backstage for a meet and greet. This is after our version of Hazy Shade of Winter had come out, and although I don't think we talked about it very much, I remember he was very sweet, and I'm sure he was happy that the song had done so well. I always think it's good to have your song covered, but it was a little uncomfortable talking to him about it, because when Simon and Garfunkel did the song, it had gone to number 17, and when the Bangles version went to number 2. You're proud, of course, but you never want to come off as full of yourself or arrogant, Close quote. Close quote. I always find it interesting when I start to talk about like my rating system and what all that means and this, that, and the other, and then kind of watch artists like feel super uncomfortable about them being more successful than the original artist. What I find most interesting about this song, it's one of the few songs the Bangles ever did where Susanna wasn't the lead. Like there's only a chunk of the song where she sings lead. What I will say, it's one of the things I talk about when I talk about cover songs, is it's always good when the band brings who they are to the song and isn't trying to do like a shot-for-shot recreation of the song or try to not do what they do, right? And so one of the things I love about the Bangles is through all the most notable tracks, Eternal Flame comes to mind when I think about this, is that this band is always good at harmonizing, and they're always good at having their harmony be part of the song. Hazy Shade of Winter showcases their harmony. It showcases the fact that they make a sound. Like when they come together, they make a unique sound that works. The song is a banger because I love that riff. And I've always thought it was a Christmas song, much in the same way that Die Hard is a Christmas movie. It's got all these layers to it, but the overlay of it, the thing that, the side piece to it is Christmas in some ways. So, because I hadn't done it, I wanted to do it. Hazy Shade of Winter here, mixtapes and mistakes. Didn't take a long time. Want to get in, get out. As always.